together as the sunlight disappears. The candles shine brighter and our spirits grow lighter. Shabbat is finally here. Up to meet you, we are waiting to greet you as the night is drawing near. We are lifting our voices, can you hear us rejoice as Shabbat is finally here?
Good evening, Shabbat Shalom. It is such a pleasure to be with you here at Temple Emmanuel of South Hills and with you in the virtual sacred space. I'm glad we can be together after a fun week, a sad week, a long week. It is indeed the end of Chag HaMatzot, the festival of Pesach. Perhaps we're feeling that in our bodies. Perhaps we're looking forward to those leavened treats. There are pizza people and there are donut people. And then there are both people, right? If you put those together, you have the perfect end of Passover feast. And for those of you who are with us in the room, I don't know if you are 7-day observers or 8-day observers, but we have an oneg that will accommodate whatever you're in the mood for. And I'm so glad that you are with us tonight. Those words that we heard as our opening song, Ellie Flyers Lecha Dodi. Ellie is a Nashville-based musician who is going to be our musician in residence next weekend. She'll be leading our Friday night service at 7 o'clock. She'll be leading Havdalah on Saturday night at 7:30. She'll be joining our Torah Center program for an end-of-year celebration. And I hope you will join us on Friday and Saturday evening. And I hope you will join us in singing our way into our Shabbat evening service with our wonderful musician tonight, Tim Brogdon. Hine ma tov, how good it is that we can be here in this space together.
אחים גם יחד. הנה 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 שנתו ומלאים שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומלאים שבט אחים גם יחד. הנה 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 הנה
I invite you to turn now to page 2 in our prayer book as we find the blessing for bringing the light of Shabbat into this world. Lisa, please, if you would join us to kindle these lights as we join in our prayers this evening.
As these Shabbat candles give us light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness remind us of the generations of Israel who have kindled lights, so may we in our own day be among them who kindle light.
Can I hold it for you? Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign in the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And as we turn to page 5, I would invite you to rise if it's comfortable for you to do so as we join together in Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho me'ava uvratzon hinchilanu zichron m'maaseh v'reshit ki hu yom tefilah lemikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'chata v'otanu kidasha mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha me'ava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. And I invite you to take your seats. Thank you. Now, when it has been a long week, there are many different ways that we might enter Shabbat. We might do so by engaging our minds, trying to focus on the best of the week that was, trying to claim a sense of spirituality. We might do the opposite, an attempt to simply sit and to be present in our tradition. The next words in our service, Psalm 148, aren't in your prayer book, but rather selfishly they're the words I needed to hear this evening. And I hope you will allow them to wash over you as I allow them to wash over me. You to turn in our prayer books now to page 20 and 21, prepared perhaps just a little bit more ready to welcome Shabbat into our midst. We turn now to words of Lecha Dodi, imagining Shabbat as our ancestors did, as an entity to join us in this room, to bring an extra measure of comfort and joy to our souls. As we join in words of Lecha Dodi, as we reach the 9th stanza, I'll invite you to rise. For now, be seated, be comfortable. Make sure to sing along.
Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pe'enei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, likrat kala, pe'enei Shabbat nekabela. Shemo v'zechor, berecha. Anu El HaMiuchad Adonai Echad Ushmo Echad L'Shem Tiferet V'Litila Le'Echa Dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ולקחה כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נעשוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי יברך ומאורי אורי אורי שידברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה וצולה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי כלה לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה שלום מלאכי השלום מלאכי עליון מלאכי השלום שלום מלאכי עליון מלאכי השלום מלאכי השלום לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
Will you join me in the English reading on page 27? Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days, lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrah hirtei v'amlik malchutei, b'chayechan u'vyomechan, u'chayedecho Beit Yisrael, Bagala, Bagala, Uvizman Kariv, V'imeru, Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabba Mevarach, Le'alam Ulam Me'amaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shemei dekudesha b'richu le'ela mincho berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'meru. Amen. Page 28, our Baruch Hu praise, our formal call to worship. Would you join me in the English on the top of page 31? Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. And on the top of page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. As we continue on page 36, I invite you to be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlektecha v'derech uvshokbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai V'yitem kedoshim le'elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, liot lachem Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. It's tradition during the Passover Seder to ask questions. Indeed, the whole Seder is designed to get young people, particularly, to ask questions. And indeed, there are 4 questions, and there are even more questions. And then there are different learning styles, as we recognize 4 different types of children, or 4 different types of learners. And at the congregational second night Seder, we asked a 5th question. Who in this world is still yearning to be free? The rabbis from of old brought this text into every day and age that the Jewish community lived, for they recognized its lesson not about history, but about our responsibility. There are many answers to that question, who in this world is still yearning to be free? And we don't have to wait for Passover to come again, 358 days later, to be able to ask ourselves that question. For indeed, the prayer on page 40 allows us to remember the Exodus from Egypt every time we gather in prayer. As we sing our thanks to God with words of Mi Chamocha, we think about that question and our actions still needed in this world.
Mi Chamocha bailim Adonai, Mi Chamocha medaber kodesh, Mi Chamocha bailim Adonai, Mi Chamocha medaber kodesh. Nora tehilot osef eleh, Nora tehilot osef eleh Adonai, yimlok leolam ba'ed. Malchut v'charahu banecha, Hayam libnei Moshe v'Miriam, Ze'eliyanu ve'amru, Ze'eliyanu ve'amru, Adonai, yimlok leolam ba'ed. Mi chamoka ba'elim Adonai, Mi chamoka nedaber kodesh, Mi chamoka ba'elim Adonai, Mi chamocha nedaber kodesh. Nora tehilot osef eleh, Nora tehilot osef eleh Adonai, yimlok leolam ba'ed.
And would you join me first on page 43 before we return to the traditional words on page 42? Our Hashkivenu prayer is a prayer we often say with the onset of evening. It's part of our bedtime Shema, the prayers we might say before we go to sleep at night. Indeed, in the Meyer family household, it's something we try to sing to Eli and to Evelyn when she'll let us. And it's something that we use as we ask for peace and protection in this world, over them, over us, over all who are in need. Will you join me first in the English on page 43, although we'll forego the Chatimah, the Hebrew, because we'll then sing page 42. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Amitenu shomreinu l'chaim. לשלום, העמידנו שומרים, תנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, עמידנו שומרינו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, עמידנו שומרינו לחיים. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, עמידנו שומרינו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, עמידנו שומרינו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, עמידנו שומרינו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, עמידנו שומרינו לחיים.
And we turn now in our prayer books to the top of page 44, breathing in and celebrating the goodness of Shabbat, its role in our lives, the opportunity to step back from this world, to rest, to rejuvenate, to follow God's model for what a better world could be.
וישמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. וישמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם, עוד היא לעולם. וישמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. וישמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת יעני נפש, שבת יעני נפש, שבת יעני נפש. וישמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. וישמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם.
In the middle of page 47, prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city, but prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. I invite you to rise now as we continue with our Amidah, if it is comfortable for you to do so. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot v'imahot, U'mevi gula livnei v'neihem, L'man shemo be'ava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Mindful of the liturgical change to summer, we continue on page 50. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Morid hatal, Mechakel chayim b'chesed, Mechaye hakol b'rachamim rabbi, Somech noflim v'rofeh cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha b'gvuro, Umido melach, Melech memit u'mechayeh, U'matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lahayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kdoshim b'chol yom yaluch hasela. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. We continue now with the words of tradition stretching through page 62, using those traditional prayers to guide us, or praying the prayers that can only come from each of our hearts. When you have finished a moment of silent prayer this evening, I would invite you to find your seats.
Say shalom bidromav, uya יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. 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 יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Again, as part of our Passover Seder, remembering that it is indeed the conclusion of the seventh day of Passover, we say that God heard the cries, heard the groaning of our ancient ancestors in Egypt, and remembered God's covenant with our forefathers to make us as numerous as the grains of sand, as the stars in the night sky. So too may it be as we turn to page 253 for the Mishaberach Lecholim. We ask God to concert God's efforts. We ask God to remember those in this world who are suffering, those who are suffering from ailments of mind, of body, of spirit. If there are those of whom you are thinking, as we offer our Mishaberach Lecholim, our prayer for those who are ill, I invite you to share their names as my eyes meet yours. Baruch atah Adonai rofeh hacholim. Blessed are you, God, who brings a measure of comfort, who remembers those who are ill. And together we say, Amen. Page 253.
Misheberak avoteinu kol habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberak imotenu mekol habracha la'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Midrash Tanchuma, the authoritative stories of Jewish tradition, imagines the moment that a new young person is brought into this world, with maybe just a few emendations to the scholarly text to make it read a little bit better. the Holy One, blessed be God, would summon the angel in charge of souls. For indeed, Jewish tradition teaches that the souls of all those yet to be born were created together on the sixth day of creation. All the souls that would exist any time in the future were fashioned together with the first, and together they will all exist until the end of the world. Bring me this particular soul from the Garden of Eden, God would say. The angel would depart to bring the chosen soul to the Holy One, blessed be God, and each and every time that soul would protest. Master of the universe, I have always been satisfied with the place I have dwelt in the garden. Why do I desire to enter that world, our world? God thereupon would answer, the place which you are to enter is better than the one you have dwelt. You were created for this very moment. Let me show you. The angel then took that soul to peer from one end of the world to the other. Together they went to where God's righteous ones were sitting in a place of honor with crowns on their heads. O soul, do you know who these are? The angel would ask. No, the soul would simply reply. These that you see were formed first, like you, and they went out from this garden into the world. They observed Torah and commandments, were kind and gentle, and were deserving to be selected for this beautiful place that you see. Know, O soul, that when you leave this garden, if you are worthy and keep the laws of the Holy One, honoring your fellows and always doing your best for those around you, you will merit to sit among these. Together they then traveled to a second place, where the souls cried out, woe is me, woe is me. O soul, do you know who these are? The angel would ask. No, the soul would reply simply. These that you see were formed first, like you, and they went out from this garden into the world. They did not keep the mitzvot. They chose lawlessness and violence and selfishness in coming to this disgraceful end that you are witnessing. Do not merit to sit among these. The angel then sat with that soul, serving as its teacher of Torah. They studied the commandments and all of their nuances, the obligations bein adam lemakom, between the physical being the soul would inhabit in God, and bein adam lechavero, the responsibilities every soul possesses to every other soul. The soul saw everything, learned everything there was to know, and grew satisfied and prepared to enter the world. At the very last moment, an angel placed a finger upon the soul's human form, imparting that small groove in our upper lip and reclaiming all of that imparted knowledge to pass to the next soul. Against your will, you will be born, the angel said at last, and against your will, you will die. For the duration of your time in that world, you must pay attention to the world and to the people that are in it, to everything that happens, relearning all that you have forgotten, and striving always to live with kindness and empathy and joy and in fulfillment of the commandments. When you do that, you will be gathered again to your garden. You will merit to sit among the righteous. So too may it be for each of us. We turn back in our Sidurim, back in our prayer books, as we praise God with words of Aleinu the Shabbat, these words, this text on the bottom of page 382. And when you have found your page, I would invite you to rise, if able.
Aleinu l'shabbat l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה יוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו קיים, וגורלנו ככל העולם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו echad.
I invite you to be seated now as we turn to page 290 in our prayer book for a reading before words of Kaddish Yatom, page 290. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be, and oh, to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. This time in our service, we remember those who have gone before us. We observe the period of Shaloshim for Richard Kantrowitz and Agnes Roche, and mark the yahrzeit, the commemoration of the passing of Martha Y. Berman, Stanley Bober, Benjamin G. Bremen, Ellis J. Budin, Linda Bushkoff, Lois Chase, Ben Cosrow, Charlotte Cutler, Alan Demmel, Emmanuel Dime, Rochelle Gerber, A. Morris Ginsburg, Gertrude Raphael Goldman, Robin Gordon Minutello, Fanny Gordon, Philip A. Herman, Albert Hillman, William Kiley, Olga Klein, Fanny Lang, Albert London, Herbert Mark, Benjamin Melnick, Belle Natboni, Milton Press, Edwin Protis, Sidney Robbins, Alois Al Schneider, Stanley Slifkin, Helene Solomon, Paul Stamen, Rose Rodney Stamen, Philip Wiener, Frida Weissman, and Esther Watsman Wiseman Stamen. Philip Weiner, Frida Weissman, and Esther Watsman Wiseman. If there are others you are remembering this Shabbat, or if I have inadvertently mispronounced the name of a loved one, I would invite you to share their names at this time. Yehei zichronam livracha. May their memories be for us an everlasting blessing. Words of Kaddish Yatom, our mourner's Kaddish, can be found on page 294 in our prayer books, page 294, and I would invite you to rise if it's comfortable to do so. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah, b'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'alam l'amei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran ba'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramah, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May God, who makes harmony on high, bring peace to us and to all who mourn. To which we say, Amen. You're welcome to be seated. A special thank you to everyone who has joined us this evening in person. A reminder that there are both Hasidic, those goods that are still Passover friendly for those who observe an 8-day holiday, and those that are glutinous and leavened and delicious for those who observe a 7-day holiday, as this would mark the end of Passover for those celebrating 7 days. We invite you to join us for an oneg immediately following our service. Those who are with us online, you're going to have to fend for yourself, but I hope it is delicious as well. A tremendous thank you to you, Tim, for leading us in song and in prayer this evening, to Leslie, as always, and to everyone who has joined us in this service. Our closing song tonight, words of Olam Chesed. Even when we hold heartbreak, we recognize that we have the power to do good in this world, that it can only happen through the works of our hands. That just as God models for us through Torah the world that we should create, we model for God the world we need help in creating through our actions.
Olam chesed yibane, yedadai, yedadai, yedadai. Olam chesed yibane, yedadai, yedadai, yedadai. Olam chesed yibane, yedadai, yedadai. Olam chesed yibane, yedadai, yedadai. I will build this world from love, yedadai, yedadai. And you must build this world from love, yedadai, yedadai. And if we build this world from love, yedadai, yedadai, then God will build this world from love, yedadai, yedadai. Olam chesed yibane, 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 yedadai, yedadai. And I will build this world from love, yedadai, yedadai. And you must build this world from love, yedadai, yedadai. And if we build this world from love, yedadai, yedadai, then God will build this world from love, yedadai, yedadai, yedadai. Olam chesed yibane, yedadai, yedadai. Olam chesed yibane, yedadai, yedadai. Olam chesed yibane, yedadai, yedadai. Olam chesed yibane,
Shabbat Shalom.